Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Road to Greatness. I am very much closer than what I typically am. I want to run through my first upper session. So, getting to the first movement, this is an Olympus chest press. And a lot of the stuff at this gym now, as you can see, has two weight pins. One that sort of biases the stretch, the other one that's more of like a mid range peg. Um, this chest press here is very similar to the Nautilus chest press that I ran at my last gym. And I really love this piece. It feels heaps good. As you can see, like that rep there more than likely would have been a slog if I didn't have a resistance profile that was more favorable, and just means that I can take these reps that would otherwise be 50-50 and actually have a crack with them. The problem with this machine though is, as you can see, I've got the top 20 kilo plate further off because I found I was hitting my elbow against it, which wasn't fun. However, it's still a really, really solid piece of kit. And yeah, I can just load the absolute buggery out of this thing for the most part, get a really nice deep stretch. I do like to pause as a way to sort of hold myself accountable. But otherwise, as you can see, those final few reps that are quite grindy, man, they have some juice to squeeze there. But I still keep in some OG movements. This is good old fashioned Smith machine bent over row. And now this is actually a 4 rep set. So some people might think that 4 reps is a bit too low for a bent over row. I'd have to disagree. I get a lot of stimulus from performing lifts in this fashion, doing a heavy set followed by 2, sometimes even 3 back offs. So this is the back off set here. Pulled about 10% off and very much just good old fashioned grip and rip. Okay, still got that intentional pause at the bottom to make sure I'm not using too much momentum. Lost a headphone there. That's always a win. But it is a really, really nice way for me to get some good trap, lat, just all back involvement. I thought about starting my movements with isolation stuff, then moving to compounds, but I love doing compound stuff too much. Speaking of, and this I actually superset, this I pair with my bent over row, is a high incline dumbbell press. I haven't done one of these in probably 2 years. I just really focused on bringing up my chest, and I noticed that I want my delts to be a bit bigger. So, gonna run a vertical press for a good little bit. Again, working in the 6 to 10 rep range, and just focusing on controlling that eccentric, really getting the most that I can from each movement. And I like dumbbells here because, well, the instability component benefits my shoulders a lot more than doing a machine. But after 2 sets of each of them, move on to our more isolated stuff. So this is a Olympus single arm pull down, very similar to the good old fashioned Nautilus plate loaded one. And the key thing I'm focusing on here is, one, keeping my scap in one spot, but also keeping my spine hunched over, like sort of in a little bit of flexion is the best way to say it, because that gives the lats the most engagement and the best lever get bleh, the lever that they need to actually produce power. I also finish off with a stretch for a few seconds, and that really ticks the box. Same deal, paired set. Once I've done 8 to 12 reps aside, I rest 60 seconds. I come over here and I do a prime seated lateral raise. So I really, really like this piece. I'm actually pushing with my legs up into the back pad to avoid me extending through my chest too much. I still do a little bit, and that's okay. But the thing that I'm really focusing on now is just allowing fatigue to dictate what my range of motion looks like, especially with these smaller movements where I can just really rinse things for what they're worth. But 3 sets of that, we now move on to our next paired set. So this is the good old fashioned Nautilus chest fly. And this thing is beautiful. beautiful. I really, really love this piece. My biceps seem to get a lot of recruitment in a chest fly. Chest flies haven't always felt the best for me, but this thing feels fantastic. I just sit my elbows in there, get a nice big stretch, and I actually reach forward as I come into the shortened position. Although this rep here is, oh, no, we'll call that a kind of full rep. Yeah, I reach forward to really try to get my chest as short as I can. And the same deal, I allow fatigue to dictate what my range of motion looks like. Once I can barely get like a third of a rep or even half a rep, I know I'm done. Just like that. And so paired with this, because this one's pretty nasty, I just do a plate sit up. Okay. I've found that going into too much extension aggravates my back. Um, so just keeping it in flexion all the way down, exhaling on the way up, ticks the boxes. And this isn't overly fatiguing, not in the slightest. I do this in like the 10 to 20 rep range, the chest fly in 10 to 15. And I like this. I just do my best to keep myself accountable like that. And whenever I feel like I got a few more, I'll just keep going. Our final paired set for the day, this is our first upper session, is the prime preacher curl, single arm, of course. Now, I'm in this weird split stance position because I find that's where I'm the most stable. And the big emphasis here is, well, getting a nice full stretch at the bottom, a good peak contraction at the top. And while we're here, I have all the cams on my prime machines set to setting 5. So that's in between lengthened and mid range. I don't want it to be completely isolated to the end range. I do believe there's still some merit in that sort of short, mid to shortened position. So I do want some sort of stimulus there. But for the most part, it is biased to the lengthened position. This is 8 to 12 reps. And again, I love these machines for the fact that that rep there would more than likely have not been a rep if it weren't for the fact that I can augment the cam on this machine. Same goes to this last rep here. Like, no way in the world would I have got this rep, say this machine didn't have the ability to adjust the resistance profile. Always controlling that last rep, dink, and down we go. So once I've done both sides, I rest about 30 seconds. I flip over to the other side of this lane and I do single arm tricep extensions on this Nautilus machine. This is an OOG machine. I know Hammer Strength make one very similar, but this feels much, much better. And I quite like this, actually. I find this to be really, really suitable for myself. I get a lot of stimulus from this machine. However, if I go too low in rep ranges, my shoulders and elbows do not like it. So although I run like 8 to 12 reps for the preacher curl, this I have to keep above 12. So 12 to 15 reps for this, for me, feels like money. Feels like money. And that essentially concludes our session for the day. Once we've done this, go home, have a meal, call it a day. I do hope you guys got a lot of value from this episode. I'll be running through my first lower session very soon. But until then, take care. We'll chat soon.